Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of Tabletop Gaming. We're doing covering another one of my Magic Commander decks. It seems people are enjoying. All of you out there on YouTube are enjoying seeing these Commander decks. I got another one here. I played it over the weekend, and I made adjustments the past 48 hours. So I did that so I could move the show a little bit more faster regarding the tune-up. But I will show you which cards I had in the deck and what I replaced it with. This deck is called Satoru Umezawa. Satoru Umezawa is a commander, legendary creature, ninja, that has a very very unique ability. So to explain, with this ability, well, he's got unique effects, but this ability is based around what is called Ninjitsu, Wizards of the Coast, not Ninjutsu. It's not spelled with a U; it's spelled with an I. And basically, the way Ninjitsu works is that when you attack, if your opponent doesn't block you, any of your creatures, if you have a creature that is not blocked, then you can pay mana to play a ninja card that has the ability called Ninjitsu from your hand, and you can swap the unblocked creature with your ninja, and your ninja will get to continue on with the hit while you return your creature to your hand. So Ninjitsu, let's show you what Ninjitsu looks like on the view screen here before I show you the deck. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is Ninjitsu. As you can see, Dokuchi Shadow Walker has popped onto the scene, and as you can see, it just says Ninjitsu right on there. He costs 4 mana. That's 3 and 1 black. And when you tap the mana, you bring him out into the field. He comes into the field tap and attacking. So how it looks like is this. Let's say, for example, this is Futurist Operative. Futurist Operative doesn't have Ninjitsu, but what he does have is the ability to become a 1/1 human citizen creature that can't be blocked. So, hey, welcome, Justin6. I'm doing good today, and you? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Justin6. Everybody, he runs J6 Games. He's got games up on Steam, so make sure to check his games out. They're all works in progress, but they're wonderful works in progress. Today we're covering my Satoru Umezawa Commander deck. So as I was explaining to everybody how Ninjitsu works, Futurist Operative. So he has the ability of not being blocked when he attacks. So because he's not blocked, what happens is that you pay the Shadow Walkers 4 mana, and what you do is you take this card off the field and back to your hand, and you bring him in place, and he comes in tapped and attacking, and he gets to deal 5 damage rather than dealing the 1 damage that Futurist Operative does. So the way this goes is it's very simple. The ninjutsu happens during the combat step. Okay, it happens during the combat phase, and with my new playmat here, let me zoom in over here and show you the phases. Hold on, let me get this over here. So you got your main phase, your attack phase, the block, damage, second main phase, and end. Now that says attack, block, and damage is not a mistake. When you go into your combat phase, you're going through specific steps. You have your attack step, the block step, and then the damage step. But there's also 2 other steps, and that is the start of combat step and the end of combat step. So there's 5 steps you're going through. So what happens is that at the start of combat step, that's when people can do shenanigans, play instance or whatever. And then you do the declare attacker step. And the declare attacker step, you decide who you're going to attack with. So here, I decided to attack with Futurist Operative. So I tap to declare my attacker. Then my opponent decides to block. So my opponent declares a blocker, and that is script sprites, right? So when that happens, the combat goes normal. It's 100% normal, right? Actually, I shouldn't even be using Futurist Operative. Sorry. Yeah. The reason why I shouldn't be using Futurist Operative is because he's unblockable. What we should be showing is Inkrise Infiltrator in this situation here. He's got flying and he gets +2/+2 on 4 mana. So in this situation, if you're blocked, you can't activate Ninjitsu because you're blocked. Simple enough, right? Right. It's your declare blocker and blocker's declared. Now let's say you're attacking with 2 creatures, right? You're attacking with 2 creatures. So let me not use this creature. Again, that's not a good example. Let me get this creature here. I got that's fine. We'll just go with Shadow Walker. Perfect. All right, we'll do Shadow Walker. Okay. Okay. Well, let's just use some examples here. I shouldn't really use Shadow Walker. Sorry about this, everybody. Let's go with the Silencer, who has Ninjitsu and abilities. Okay, but we're just gonna get to this part here. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like. This is how it's gonna look like. Okay, we go into the declare. We come to the combat step. So we're at the start of combat step. Nobody does any instance. No shenanigans. All right. Creatures are tapped, so I'm tapping these 2 creatures. My opponent decides to use script sprites and block this flyer. Decided to block with the flyer. Okay. So now I have a blocked creature. So now we're in the declare blocker step. So it's here in the declare blocker step that this happens. Okay. At this point now, once declare blockers are established, this is when you do Ninjitsu. Ninjitsu basically inserts itself right here. Right here between the block step and the damage step. So think of it like this. Think of it in that terms, that you have a new step called the Ninjitsu step. Even though it's not a legitimate step like, say, First Strike, just think of it in that terms on a metaphorical level, that Ninjitsu is a step between the declared blockers and the damage step. But that's not entirely true. But you'll understand soon enough. No, I'm doing it wrong, aren't I? I know, everybody in the comments is probably already jumping in and saying, no, that's not how Ninjitsu works. Sorry. Let me rephrase this. Let's step back and rewind. Alright, after the declare blocker step is done, Ninjitsu is now active between this step here, before the damage step, to the end of damage step. And what happens is this. You tap your mana, you replace Dokuchi Silencer, and you bring in a creature that says Ninjitsu on it. And it comes into play tapped, and it continues on with its attack. So what I basically did is I replaced a 2/1 creature with a 5/5 creature. So instead of doing 2 damage to my opponent, now I'm going to do 5 damage. Meanwhile, these 2 are going to fight each other. Since the Infiltrators has 2 toughness, it's going to survive the script sprites, but it'll be fully blocked. And the script sprites is dead. But my opponent will take 5 damage for the Shadow Walker. Now, why is it that I had to rewind when I said all that? Because you can activate Ninjitsu anytime through the rest of the combat step after the declare blocker. So from the damage step all the way through to the end of combat step, you can activate Ninjitsu at any time. So what does this mean? So let's say, let me find a creature that has, let's see, I have a creature that enters the battlefield, don't I? Come on, I know I have one that does that. Here we go. So let's say I have the Gucci goes, let's say, okay, let's just say, where did I put you at? I'm sorry, everybody. I'm terrible at this. Oh my gosh, he really stinks. Who was I attacking? Oh, the Moon Circuit Hacker? Anyway, it's the Moon Circuit Hacker. Let's just say we're going to do Ninjitsu, right? We do Ninjitsu. So the Moon Circuit Hacker is free. It's moving on. Ninjitsu, the Moon Circuit Hacker does its 5 damage, right? Does its 2 damage. It successfully does its 2 damage. Okay, it does its 2 damage. And what you can do is, during the end of combat step, you can tap for mana, and you can do Ninjitsu. And you can Ninjitsu, for example, I chose to do Moon Snare Specialist. It costs 3 to do Ninjitsu, and what it says is, when Moon Snare Specialist enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Now you're probably saying, well, can you do the damage, the 2 damage? Well, the answer is no, because the damage has already been done. We already got past the damage step. So you're probably saying, well, what's the whole point of doing this? Well, look at what her effect says. When it enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. So what does that mean? Well, let's say your opponent has someone big, very, very big. You can, even though they, but they couldn't do, let's say they have someone, a creature that can actually tap to do damage to a creature. Now you could bounce that card back to the hand, to their hand. And if they, you could bounce them back to their hand and reset the creature, basically. Saying, or if they have like a heavy hitting creature that is tapped, that's sitting at 5/5, you could bounce the 5/5 back to the hand with Moon Snare Specialist, because it was an enter the battlefield. She may not have done 2 damage, but you got to remove a creature, and on top of that, she doesn't have to suffer. She's not going to suffer summoning sickness, because Ninjitsu bypasses summoning sickness, and on the next turn you're gonna untap and you'll have an available creature. So that's basically some of the tricks. There are other tricks you could do too with Ninjitsu, like for example, First Strike. I didn't know all these years, because First Strike was always contextualized as being creature versus creature, but I didn't know that First Strike activates when the first striking creature strikes the opponent. Because when that happens, everybody's like, okay, here's all the damage, but never did the timing ever was clear regarding attacking an opponent. You know what I'm saying? When it's being directly, the damage is being directed at the opponent as opposed to the creature. So excuse me. So the way that would work is when you is that the first strike step. The first strike step happens over here. After the declare attack, after the declare blocker step, wedged in here is the first strike step. That is triggered by first strike and also double strike, but first strike here. So your first striking creature, if it's free to be able to do damage to your opponent, will do damage to your opponent first in the first strike step. Then you go into the damage step. So before you go into that damage step, you can Ninjitsu the first striking creature back to your hand, and then throw in your ninja, and the ninja will get to do the damage step. So long as you do it before, don't wait until after or before or during or anything. Do it before. As soon as the first striker successfully deals damage and damage is taken, that's when you do Ninjitsu, and then the ninja will get to do the regular damage step and deliver its damage. So you can do mass damage with Ninjitsu in that manner. So always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind when doing Ninjitsu. And there's a lot of Ninjitsu shenanigans. Like you could cycle Ninjitsu creatures around with each other. You can Ninjitsu the ninja very easily. You could Ninjitsu the ninja, a Ninjitsu. You could do Ninjitsu multiple times, so long as you have unblocked creatures and plenty of mana. You could do that as well. And there are loops. So yeah, there's a lot of things that ninjutsu can do. So here's the thing to understand about ninjutsu. It's exclusively, it's primarily in black and blue. If you understand how black and blue works, black and blue are trickster colors. You know, they like doing tricks, whether it's from card searching or manipulating graveyards or manipulating hands. They're trick cards. They're trick plays, and that's what ninjutsu does. Ninjutsu is a trick play. The only reason why in Neon Dynasty that ninjutsu appeared in green and white is because the characters that have it are thematic. The giant wreck, the giant Kappa wrecker, I think it's called. I probably got the name wrong. The giant Kappa wrecker is labeled is green. It has ninjutsu, and its type is turtle ninja. So it's a play on the Ninja Turtles. And then there's also and there's also a couple of other ninjutsu greens, but they're snake warriors, snake ninjas. But snakes have been always thematically being known to be sly and slicksters in the meta narrative, and that's why they got ninjutsu. White is the other color that has ninjutsu, and it's only on, I believe, 2 kitsune. And the only reason why it's on the kitsune is because in Japanese culture, the kitsune are known to be tricksters. They like to play tricks on you, illusions, that kind of stuff. So fitting them as, slotting them in as ninjas and giving them the ninjutsu made perfect sense. So they're thematic, or else all ninjas and ninjutsus you're gonna find in blue and black primarily. Red doesn't even have a ninja. I didn't come across any ninjas in red, and I don't think there's anything thematic for them in terms of Red's theme. So that's why. So that's something to very much understand ninjutsu in relation to the color blue and the color black, because they're trick plays. And even though it is true, while it is true that ninjutsu is not a very very powerful effect, it needed to be nerfed given the way it works. If you understand how blue and black works, you could be able to exploit ninjutsu in a myriad of ways, unlike any other. That I don't know. To me personally, I don't know the tricks because blue and black are not my strong colors. It's white and green. That's why Sith terrorizes my Commander Knight, where I play at, over where I play at the Commander at. It terrorizes everybody. Like everybody already knows the place that's gonna happen. Man. So let's go through my Satoru Umezawa deck. And then I'm gonna show you the cards that I originally had in there removed, and then I'm gonna go into Scryfall and see what cards I could find that I can improve upon it this coming weekend. So let's start off with the man, the myth, the legend, Satoru Umezawa. He's my commander, legendary creature, very cheap, one mana, blue black, for three total. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once each turn. So he basically has not brainstorm. It's the other one, portent, I think. He's got an inserted. Was it portent? There's like 3 cards that do the same exact ability, but basically that's what it is, and it's pretty good because commanders that can draw you cards is an excellent commander to have, and you want to try and take advantage of it as much as you can. Anytime you can get a card draw out of a commander, that's why I have Shotokai as my commander. The first sliver, Pantlaza, Sithis, they all have one thing in common. Even Sisei, my newest one, is that they can get cards out of your deck. And given that you're operating a 99, your deck has 99 cards because your commander is out, you want to get those draws out as soon as possible. And commanders that do that, you want to put that to the metal. But what makes Umezawa even more awesome and great for ninja decks, and should always be your commander in ninja decks. It's his next ability. It says each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu 2 mana blue black. So for 4 mana, every single creature you have gains ninjutsu in your hand. It doesn't matter what the creature is. Every creature in your hand has ninjutsu. So being a commander with 3 mana comes right out the field. Bam! Now you not only can search for cards, not only will you get to go through cards, but you can start ninjutsuing your some of the most craziest creatures. And once you see who I'm ninjutsuing with, who I made ninjas, who Umezawa trained to be ninjas, is gonna blow your mind. So lands, the standard fare base land of swamp. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lands. We got 11 swamp lands and 11 islands, 11 islands. Honestly, I wish I could find more of the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty lands. I would rather have that. I would like to have those in this deck to have that nice flavor of being in Japan, and all the creatures in my deck went to Japan to learn from Umezawa how to be ninjas. So we got the 11 islands here. Of course, the ever classic notation of tap, add black to your mana pool, and add blue to your mana pool. I love these cards. I'm not a big fan of the non-text ones, quite honestly. I'm not a big fan of the non-text ones where it's just a symbol on it. I love that it tells you. Unless, of course, it's the Neon Dynasty lands. I love the look of that. It's very, very aesthetically pleasing to look at. Next is the artifact lands. We got Mistvault Bridge. It comes with a play tap, indestructible, and blue black. As well as where's the other one? Oh no, that's right. It's the only one. Yes, that's coming up next. That's gonna be actually that's gonna be the last one tonight. Sonic Superstars will be the next one. That's the next segments. So we're gonna be having a fun game time tonight. Next is Seed of the Synod, artifact land, tap for blue, as well as another artifact land, Vault of Whispers, tap for black. Then we got Dismal Backwater, which comes into play tap, gain a life, tap for blue and black. Temple of Deceit comes into play tap, scry 1, and I get a blue and a black. Drowned Catacombs comes into play tap unless I control an island or a swamp. So if I have an island or swamp, I don't have to tap it. Gives me blue and a black. Then there's Fetid Pools, which gives me blue and a black, as well as Cycling. It comes into play tap. Then I have this gate called Demir Guild Gate. It comes into play tap. It's got blue and black. And then we got Rogue's Passage. This one I added in the past 48 hours. It gives me generic mana. I pay 4 and tap and make target creature unblockable. This is very important for Ninjitsu. Then I also have Creeping Tar Pit, which comes into play tap. It gives me blue and black. And if I pay 3 mana, 1 with a blue and a black, I turn this into an elemental creature, 3/2, and it's unblockable. It's still land, but it's unblockable. Very important. Very good for early Ninjitsu if I were to get that. Then, of course, the standard Path of Ancestry, which comes with a play tap, and I can tap for 1 mana of my commander's color identity, which is blue and black. And, of course, the Command Tower. Always have to have a Command Tower, which also taps for commander identity. And now for the ninjas. We got Covert Technician, artifact creature, Ninjitsu, 1 mana, 1 blue. Whenever Covert Ninja deals combat damage to a player, you may put an artifact card with mana value less than or equal to that damage from your hand onto the battlefield. So let's say I have a Sol Ring and I do damage, I get a free drop. I get a free Sol Ring drop. Very good. Thousand Faced Shadow, Ninjitsu, 2 mana, 2 blue. Flying, when Thousand Face Shadow enters the battlefield from your hand. If it's attacking, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. The token creatures enter the battlefield tapped and attacking. So basically, it's Shadow Clone Jutsu. It's a crazy Shadow Clone Jutsu, very frightening. Even if it's 1 damage, being able to copy another creature that might have mass damage is pretty good. Moonsnare Specialist, Ninjitsu 2/1 blue. When Specialist enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand, 2/2. Great way to creature bounce and clear the field out a bit, at least for 1 turn, or at least reset your opponent's summoning sickness. Then there's the Futurist Operative. This one was really doing a great deal of damage in my pod, in my commander pod. I just kept spamming him and ninjutsuing at every turn. As long as Futurist Operative is tapped, it's a human citizen with base power and toughness 1/1 and unstoppable. For 2 mana and 1 blue, I can untap Futurist Operative, turn him into a 3/4 creature, and effectively having a blocker if needs be. Moon Circuit Hacker, enchantment creature, Ninjitsu 1 blue. When Hacker deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card unless Hacker enter the battlefield this turn. So I don't have to discard a card if I just played him, and that's a very big deal if you're ninjutsuing, because you could get a free draw without a discard. If you do the ninjutsu right and do a good loop with the Moon Circuit Hacker, you'll be drawing cards without ever discarding cards. If you do it right, you gotta make sure your timings are all in place, and the loop and the feedback loop goes on. Prosperous Thief, Ninjitsu 1 and 1 blue. Whenever 1 or more ninja or rogue creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. This is a new thing that I learned when I got back into Magic. Treasure is an artifact that gives you mana when you tap it and discard it. I think there's one more step. I think you have to pay 1 or something. I don't know, but that's what treasures do, and that's what treasure gives you. It gives you more access to more mana. Mukutai Ambusher. We're in the black side of the ninjas. Artifact creature, Rat Ninja. It has Ninjitsu 1 and a black and lifelink, so I can sneak it in, get 3 life in return to after I deal 3 damage. Very good trick move. Dokuchi Silencer, Ninjitsu 1 and 1 black. Whenever Silencer deals combat damage to a player, you may discard a creature card. When you do, and this is a you may, so you don't have to do it. When you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker that player controls. So if you have a card that you can afford to drop, then drop it and get rid of a creature, especially if it's a dangerous one or a commander. That's a good creature removal. Especially if you have cards that can retrieve creatures. Make sure be sure that you have something like that available. Biting Palm Ninja, Ninjitsu 2 and 1 black. Biting Palm Ninja enters the battlefield with a menace counter on it. Menace basically, if I remember correctly, it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and black creatures. That's the only way it could be blocked, if I remember correctly. Or is it by 1? No. Sorry. It cannot be blocked by more than 1 creature. Sorry, I'm thinking of Fear. Menace is that your opponent cannot block with 1 creature. He's got to block with 2 or more creatures. So when Biting Palm Ninja deals combat damage, you may remove a menace counter from it, and when you do, that player reveals their hand, and you choose one non-land card from it and exile it, which is removed from play. Then we got Nezumi Prowler, Ninjitsu for 1 and a black. When the Prowler enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains Death Touch and lifelink until end of turn. Death Touch is whenever you deal damage to a creature, that creature automatically dies. It just instantly die. That's it. Think of it as Kenshiro's Fist of North Star movie. It's like, oh my wa shideru. And now here comes the fun part. The ones that get turned into ninjas. I leaned very hard into this. Very hard. For the past 48 hours. I went out of my way to get these cards, like buy them. They were on the cheap too. They were like 25-50 cents, except for one of them, which was $9.50. But this one is Voracious Fellbeast, flying. When Voracious Fellbeast enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Create a food token for each creature sacrificed this way. Food token is it's an artifact with 2 tap and uh, 2 mana, a tap, and sacrifice this artifact, and you gain 3 life. Um, so yeah, it's a 4/4 creature. With Satoru Umezawa, you can drop it in. As you can see, it's a 6 mana cost, but for 4 mana, you get a free drop creature that bypasses summoning sickness and all that. Next up is Dusk Mangler. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, discard a card, or pay 4 life. When Mangler enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature, discards a card, and loses 4 life. This is something that I learned over the weekend at my pod. This little condition here that says as an additional cost to cast this spell, I have to do all these things: sacrifice a creature, discard a card, pay 4 life. Here's the thing about ninjutsu: it's not casting a spell; it's an ability, and that means that I don't have to pay for any of these conditions. I can just ninjutsu it in, and all I get is the second effect, which is affecting my opponents. So yeah, these are the shenanigans I'm talking about with ninjutsu, and I liked it, and I made sure, and I try to find as many as I can that does this, that has this bypass and gives me all of this type of effect, which I have here. Archfiend. Oh no, sorry, that's the next one, right? No, not this one, but I have one more. You'll see. Archfiend of Sorrows. Flying. When Archfiend of Sorrows enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn. It has Unearth for 3 mana and 2 black. In which I return this card from my graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, and then I exile it at the beginning of my next step. Or if it would leave the battlefield. Unearth only has a sorcery. Yeah, it's a weird effect, but basically you get to bring the creature back for 1 more turn and 1 more swing. But what's good is that this is a nice weenie wipe. So many players in the commander group tend to play cheap creatures, a lot of token creatures, and they usually tend to be 1/1s or 2/2s. So at that moment, so having this can help wipe those token creatures out. Next up is Archon of Cruelty. This is the one that this is another one that I bought. Flying. Whenever Archon of Cruelty enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and lose 3 life. And then I get to draw a card and gain 3 life. So ninjutsu it in and effects away. Ninjutsu it right on in, and that's it. This is one of my cards that I got that I've always had. Gourmand. This is the one that I was talking about. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. This is what I learned that I can bypass. And it comes with Flying, Trample, and when Gourmand enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. When I learned that this was ignored, when I ninjutsu'd it in, that's when I started looking for cards that do that. Black creature cards that do that. Because you can see it's coming in with 5/5. It gets rid of creatures. Comes with Trample on top of that. So I have good evasion and trample capabilities. Lord of the Void. Whenever Lord of the Void deals damage to a player, exile the top 7 cards of that player's library. Then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control. It has Flying. 7/7 creature. Ninjutsu that puppy in, and you get to steal. You get to steal cards from your opponent, which is cool. Like I said, shenanigans. Ninjutsu shenanigans. Here's another ninja. Of course, I showed Shadow Walker, Ninjutsu, 3 mana and 1 black for 5/5 swing. Inkrise Infiltrator, Flyer. Its ability is 3 mana and a black. Infiltrator gets +2/+2 until end of turn. This is not a once per turn activation. I can pump up as much times as I want, so long as I have the mana. So I have 8 mana, I can make it 4/4. I could give it +4/+4. And now here's some interesting shenanigans. All these following creatures I've already had, and I had to go through my whole entire catalog to find them because I didn't have a lot. But this is perfect for ninjutsu, especially with the black the black creatures that I showed you, that can wipe out creatures. This is unblockable blue. Covert Operative. Covert Operative is unblockable. Then I have Phantom Warrior. Phantom Warrior is unblockable. Tidal Kraken. Tidal Kraken is unblockable. Escape Artist. Escape Artist is also unblockable. And for 1 blue, I can discard a card from my hand and return escape artist back to my hand. And then I have the Cephalid Path Mage, which is also unblockable. And if I tap the creature and sacrifice it, then the target creature that I have is unblockable. Until end of turn. And then I have Dream Prowler, where it's unblockable as long as no other creatures are attacking. So if I have like a nasty stalemate and I can't do an attack, saying I know my opponent will block, I can just attack with this alone. And then I can ninjutsu it out. Now for the gold creatures. Hitetsugu and Kairi, Ogre Demon Dragon, legendary creature, flying. When Hitetsugu and Kairi enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Then put 2 cards from my hand on top of my library in any order. So it's a brainstorm. And when this creature dies, exile the top card of my library. Target opponent loses life equal to its mana. Finally, if that card is an instant or a sorcery, I can cast it without paying mana on it. So if I get one of my instant or sorceries out, like say I get a brainstorm, if brainstorm has to be that card, I get to play the brainstorm and brainstorm again. While also doing damage for Brainstorm's cost, which is 1 damage. It's not much, but I get the damage and the Brainstorm. Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow, legendary creature, ninja. She has a very interesting ninjutsu. It's called Commander Ninjutsu. So if I were to make her the commander, I would, when she would be here in the commander zone, I can activate her ninjutsu much like I would any ninja directly out for 1 blue and 1 black. Very, very cheap. Of course, if I have her in my hand, I can still play ninjutsu because it's still in effect there. Her effect is whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand, and each opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value. So if the top card of my deck happens to be Hitetsugu and Kairi, all my opponents take 5 damage when I put it into my hand. Let me make sure I read that correctly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. There's no other condition. It just goes directly to my hand as soon as I deal combat damage. Then I got the Silver Fur Master, also for 1 blue, 1 black ninjutsu. Ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. Now I don't know yet if that also affects Satoru Umezawa, since all the cards are supposed to have ninjutsu inserted into the card due to Umezawa's effect. But if that's the case, if that's actually a legal move, then Silver Fur Master reduces Umezawa's effect to 3 mana, and that makes things even more cheaper. And also, other ninja and rogue creatures you control get +1/+1, which is good for the ninjas that I have. Then I have Denrova Horror. Whenever Denrova Horror enters the battlefield, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Then that player discards a card. So this is a nice little enter the battlefield effect when you ninjutsu it in. Again, shenanigans. I could do mass damage. Let's say I do heavy induce 5. Say my 7/7 creature. I do 7/7 damage to my creature. Then I decide at the end of combat step to ninjutsu in the Denrova. Since it's got the enter the battlefield, I can bounce one of my opponent's creatures and make him discard a card all at the same time. Kotose, the spider, the silent spider. I'm not a big fan of this having this creature in there, but it is she is a 4/4. She can get boosts, from Silver Fur Master. But basically, this Yu-Gi-Oh wall of text here, this Yu-Gi-Oh sized wall of text says when the Silent Spider enters the battlefield, exile target card other than a basic land card from an opponent's graveyard. Search that player's graveyard hand library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles. For as long as you control Kotose, you may play one of the exile cards, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast. She's really designed for decks where the regular decks, standard decks, those kind of decks, where you can play 4 copies of her. That's all she's really good for, because she can search for multiple copies. But for this deck, it's not too bad because you can snatch up at least 1 card, remove it, and you can play that card. So if they got a creature, let's see here. if they got a creature, let's see here. So if they got like a creature or something that's extraordinarily powerful, something that can make them win, you can snatch that, play it, and swing it in your favor. Now we come to the artifacts, which is going to be pretty fun. Scavenge Brawler has Flying, Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink. It's a 4/4. 5 mana. Exile the Brawler from my graveyard, and then I get to choose a target creature, and I get to give it 4+1/+1 counters, along with a Flying, Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink counter. It can only be activated as sorcery, but this creature dies, goes into my graveyard. I can exile it out of the graveyard and make one of my creatures +4/+4 with all those effects, which is a pretty nasty thing because I happen to have here a card like Guardians of Koilos. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target historic permanent you control to its controller's hand. So it's a good way to, if I wanted to cycle back certain creatures that I have, or certain artifacts, if I want to get if I want to be able to ninjutsu them to full effect, instead of having them stuck out there going to die. And then over here I have the Metalwork Colossus. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of non-creature artifacts you control. So this 11 cost can be reduced. He's a 10/10, but I can sacrifice 2 artifacts and return him to my hand if it's in the graveyard. So again, I could retrieve him and ninjutsu him back into place, or I could do Koilos and bounce him back to my hand and do another 10/10 ninjutsu swing. This is a card that I love a lot and been dying to really put this into a deck, and I finally got one, and that's Walking Skyscraper. Sadly, it doesn't have reach given its theme, but it costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control, which is equipment, auras, and counters, which are modifications. It comes in with Trample. It has hexproof as long as it's untapped. It's an 8/8 creature, so it won't have hexproof when you ninjutsu it in, but the 8 damage is what's important. Once you untap it, or if you have a card that can untap it, then it's got hexproof and it's safe from getting destroyed. Then we got this little monster here, the brother of was it Blight Steel Colossus? This is Dark Steel Colossus. Trampled, it has indestructible. If it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Dark Steel Colossus and shuffle it into the owner's library instead. So it cycles back into the deck. It's an 11/11 creature. Very, very mass swing. Good to ninjutsu. So it's just a Suspicious Bookcase. It's a cheap defender, but for 3 mana and a tap, I could make a target creature be unblockable, which is good for more ninjutsu shenanigans. Then we come into the enchantment spells. This is the one that I'm having a hard time with. So Fevered Convulsions, tap for 4 mana, 2 and 2 black. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, which is good. You want to weaken your creatures. You could do it multiple times if you have enough mana. So if you could get around like indestructible or anything like that. Cunning Rhetoric. This one helped me out a lot. It put my opponents at bay. Like they couldn't swing at me without risking their cards until they were confident. Whenever an opponent attacks you and or one or more planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast. So basically what ended up happening was that when I had that out in the field over the weekend, my opponents played, and I stole their creatures, and then I played their creatures and kept that on my site. I made good use. I put them to work there. The classic staple, Dark Ritual, add 3 black to your mana pool. It's a mana speed. Tortured Existence, 1, choose and discard a creature card. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Great way to get back some of your beefy creatures if they died. Card Searching, Demonic Tutor, very classic as you can see by the age here. Search your library for 1 card and take it into your hand. Reshuffle your library afterwards. And then we have the Diabolic Tutor, which you search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Then we got some creature retrieval, Disentomb, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And Raise Dead, very classic card there, target creature from your graveyard and put it into your hand. Here is Terror. Oh, this is the one I was thinking of. Terror. Was it Terror? No. Yeah, I was thinking Terror. Bury target non-artifact non-black creature. But Fear was the one. Was the other one that I was thinking of. But it's actually Menace. Extinguish all hope. Sorcery. Destroy all non-enchantment creatures. Nice creature wipe. If they're not enchantment creatures like Sithis, because that's what it's looking for. It's looking for creatures like Sithis, who's an enchantment creature type, not enchanted creature, which is what auras do. Blue, I got Gravitational Shift. Creatures with flying get +2/+0. Creatures without flying get -2/-0. It's not while it does go against my deck. I do have this, which is Levitation, in which all creatures I control gain flyer. So I turn all those creatures that I have into flyers, and I could get +2, while my opponent has -2 creatures without flying. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I figured I'd give it a go, just so I could get that +2 and work it with Levitation. And I do have plenty of flyers, especially on black side. Treasure Trove, tap for 4, 2 mana and 2 blue for quick draw card. Could do it multiple times, so if I have 8 mana, I could draw 2 cards. No drawbacks. Pretty good. Then I have Everwatching Threshold. Whenever an opponent attacks, or if they attack me and or Planeswalker I control, I get to draw a card. No drawbacks. So, oh, you're attacking me? I draw a card. I draw a card, and I don't have to discard or anything. The Ever Classic, Ever Powerful Factor Fiction. I got this alternate artwork, which is pretty cool. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. This is a card that can win you games a lot of the times. Some shenanigans, blue trick shenanigans, arcane laboratory, laboratory, either one. Inevitable. It is inevitable. Each player cannot play more than 1 spell each turn. And I don't have to worry about casting spells because Ninjitsu is not a spell, it's an ability. So I have that out there. My opponents are completely locked while I'm constantly ninjitsuing my creatures over and over again and whacking them. Then I have Circular Logic, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each card in the graveyard. Madness 1. So if I discard this, I could pay the Madness to do Circular Logic. But the fact that if I have a very big graveyard, it'll be very hard for my opponent to pay the mana cost to stop the counter. Counter spell, the Ever Classic staple, counter target spell. Another classic staple that every blue should have in the commander deck, Brainstorm. Draw 3 cards, then put any 2 cards from your hand on top of your library. This is what I was thinking of, Impulse. That's what Satoru Umezawa has. He has Impulse, not Portent. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 1 of them onto your hand, the rest at the bottom of your library. Okay. And for regular artifacts, I have Crawl Space. Again, more shenanigans. No more than 2 creatures can attack me each turn. So, given the very vulnerable nature that Ninjitsu has, and that I don't have good strong blocking capabilities. I don't really feel confident on that because many commander decks can swarm you. Can really build up 10 creatures, but I'm not really building up like 1,000 creatures. I'm just using a cycle of Ninjitsu over and over again. So 9 times out of 10, I'll probably be only attacking with 1 or 2 creatures at a time. So having Crawl Space will help with my defenses if I don't have enough creatures out in the field for a good block, and just restrict that to 2 creatures attacking me. And I follow that up with Ensnaring Bridge, where each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. So if I have 2 cards, so if my opponents have 2 cards in their hands, they can't attack with creatures that have 3 power or higher. So if they have like a whole army of 3/3 creatures or 4/4 creatures, so on, and they only have 2 cards in their hand, they'll never attack. They'll have to draw a card to bypass it. And same goes for me. I have the same effect, but again, Ninjitsu will bypass that. Just like it will bypass that, just like it will bypass Arcane Laboratory, because Ninjitsu is activated after the declare attacker step. I checked the ruling. Over at Gatherer, and it made abundantly clear that Ensnaring Bridge does its check during declare attacker step. So Ninjitsu doesn't come into play until after the declare blocker step. So it bypasses Ensnaring Bridge. So while my opponents are struggling to get their creatures going, if they have a poor hand, I'll be able to swing with no problem and not have to worry about the checks, about Ensnaring Bridge's check. Joven's Tools, 4 mana and a tap. Target creature cannot be blocked except by a wall, so I make my creatures unblockable for more Ninjitsu shenanigans. Let's see here. I got Ecologist Terrarium. Enters the battlefield. I may search my library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into my hand for 2 mana and a tap. And the sacrifice of the Terrarium, I can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and activates only as a sorcery. So if I want a quick boost, I got a fetch land. So I have a fetch land and a counter buff. Thran Dynamo, the standard stable, alternate art there. Add 3 generic mana. Sol Ring, staple, add 2. Arcane Signet, another staple, add 1 color of your commander's identity. Sisei's Ring, I do recommend this card over Power Stone if you have it. Even though it's 1 extra mana, the fact that Sisei's Ring doesn't come in tapped compared to Worn Power Stone is actually better, because you can start your mana build right away. Sensei's Defining Tap. If you ever have a Sensei's Defining Tap, make sure it's in your deck as soon as possible. There's really no excuse for that. Shenanigans, in short. And then there's Jalum Tone, in which I tap for 2 mana and a tap. Draw a card, discard a card. Very straightforward, very simple. And so that's Satoru Umezawa commander deck. That is the Satoru Umezawa commander deck. So here are some of the cards that I actually replaced, because the abilities that these guys have, being unblockable and being able to destroy creatures when they enter the battlefield, I felt was way more important than what these guys have to offer. And sadly enough, one of those guys is Jin-Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant. I enjoyed the 5/5. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. I don't feel like I have enough sorcery, instant, and artifacts to copy. The only good thing benefit is his second effect, which is whenever an opponent casts an artifact instead of sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability triggers only once each turn. Please comment down below if you think I should throw it in there, because I had been wanting to play him, but I don't know if I should slot him over my unblockable creatures. I still feel like I should focus on other strategies first, to center around what I got here, particularly enter the battlefield abilities, which is what I'm looking for, and we'll have to see what happens. Blizzard Elemental, which was a 5/5 flyer, which I untap Blizzard Elemental. Then I had Diluvian Primordial, which was a 5/5 creature. It's flying. It enters the battlefield for each opponent. You may cast up to 1 instant or sorcery from the graveyard without paying the cost. If a spell was cast this way, it would be exiled instead of being put in the graveyard. Basically, what happened is that with these blue creatures, I focused on flying to have evasion, and they were swinging in with very high power, like the Amoeboid. What's this here? Oh, Amugaba. Yeah, Amugaba. Which lets me return this to my hand, but it's a 6/6 flyer. Fairy Formation, which let me create fairies, and it's a 5/4 flyer. This is Fairy Formation. Mirror Shell Crab, which gave me Ward 3 and 5/7. Archive Dragon, which had flying Ward 3, and when it entered the battlefield as Scry, it's a 4/6 creature. And here's Inspired Sphinx, which was a 5/5. When it entered the battlefield, I draw cards equal to the number of opponents I have, and I get a 1/1, and I could tap for a 1/1 colorless Thopter. So I figured flyers I can bypass. I have evasion. and I can ninjutsu if necessary, if I want to. But then I found my unblockables, and I was like, well, that's way better than flying because nobody can stop a block. Nobody can block. Nobody can stop an unblockable, and I get an easy ninjutsu. And given how I used the covert operative because it was it had unblockable, it made it very easy. It made it very easy to switch out with. So I'm looking for unblockable creatures at this point, in addition to enter the battlefield creatures. Another one that I had was Geth, Lord of the Vault. Intimidate 5/5. Put target artifact or creature card with mana value X from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So I could steal a creature from a battlefield. Then I had Troll of Khazad-dûm, which has Menacer. Can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures, along with Swamp Cycling. Not bad for an evasion ability, but it's still blockable. Junji the Midnight Sky was a 5/5 flyer with menace, and it had 2 effects where where my opponent could discard 2 cards and lose 2 life, or I could put a target non-dragon creature card from graveyard onto the battlefield, but I lose 2 life if Junji dies. And then I had Demon of Fate's design, which was a 6/6 flying trample. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an enchantment spell by paying life equal to its mana value. Sacrifice another enchantment for 3 mana. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. They're gone. They all got replaced with creatures that destroy creatures when they enter the battlefield, and unblockable blue creatures, which allowed me to ninjutsu with no problem. So that is Satoru Umezawa. So what am I going to do about this amazing deck? Well, I'm trying to find cards that have enters the battlefield effects here. There's not much. Well, there's a lot to work with, both creature-wise, but particularly the enchantments as well. I'm trying to find the enchantments that can do that, and there's not. There's plenty of that, but it's usually a specific creature. I was hoping to find one where it's any creature that enters the battlefield. So not just specific. Like these enchantments are saying, when like this is Ashiok's Erasure. When Ashiok's Erasure enters the battlefield, that's when its effect kicks in, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a creature, a card that says when creature enters the battlefield. So let me jot that back. So here's so when I type in creature enters the battlefield, this is what it's giving me. Not much. There's 90 cards that can do this, but they're not really doing this. Like it's saying when bind the monster enters the battlefield. So it's not reading very well. There you go. Like this here. This is Candlekeep Sage, legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have, when this creature enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. So that's what I'm talking about. Something like this, when it says this creature enters the battlefield. However, this is specific to the commander. Yeah, see, they all trigger when they do their own thing. When they themselves enter the battlefield. Doesn't give me when a creature enters the battlefield type of effect, and it's very frustrating. However, that doesn't mean that the creatures themselves don't offer as themselves entering the battlefield, which is fine. But I feel like I have enough. I know I can still find something better. So like here's blue, for example. Aether Snipe. When Aether Snipe enters the battlefield, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. That kind of thing, which is fine. But I'd rather have unblockable for blue, and enters the battlefield for here we go. Or the rephrase, can't be blocked. I'd rather have blue concentrate on can't be blocked, and black focusing on enters the battlefield. I feel like that's the best way to go. So there's 138 creatures that are unblockable, like Aether Figment. I have bouncing beebles, both the bouncing and bubbling beebles, but they're very situational. And many of them do have a little on the situational side. They're not like the Cephalid Path Mage or Covert Operative, where it's just straight up is unblockable. Some of these guys have conditions. This one, though, I would love to get my hands on. This is the Deep Channel Mentor. Blue creatures you control can't be blocked. If I could find this card, it's from Shadowmoor. If I find this one, then it won't be that much of a problem, especially with the multicolor creatures, because they count as blue creatures. I would definitely love to get this, and it itself would be unblockable as well because it's a blue creature. It counts towards itself. Let's see, I got the Dream Prowler in there. Ethereal Usher is okay. Target creature is unblockable this turn. But I really feel like Deep Channel Mentor is the more superior card in this instance. I could still have my unblockable creatures like the Escape Artist, but having this turning all my blue creatures into unblockable, including Umezawa himself, for that quick commander damage is actually pretty good. So I'll be looking for that one. As for black, with enters the battlefield creatures, I feel I want to find more that can destroy creatures like the Gourmand does and the Archon. There's 549 enters the battlefield creatures, and I have no idea where to begin. So like yeah, Abyssal Gore Stalker enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures, but that will also include me because that's each creature. What I want is opponents. Like exactly what Archon of Cruelty does. It targets opponents specifically. So I have to try and find that, find cards like that, and I could swap them out, swap out some. Like I could swap out Archfiend of the what was it? The Archfiend of Sorrows. I could replace Archfiend of Sorrows if I could find another one that does like Archon of Cruelty. If I could find that, that'll be a great addition, and have black focus entirely on that. So while I have my ninjas on one end, on the other end, I will have unblockable creatures and creatures that destroy things when it enters the battlefield. Now I don't have a problem playing some. Well, no, I definitely want cards that can destroy creatures. If anything. Because that helps me with keeping my opponent's board states in check by having that. So yeah, that's the key situation here with with my Satoru Umezawa deck. Oops, sorry, should be over here. There we go. My Satoru Umezawa deck. So. Yeah, share your thoughts on what you think of it. If you have any, if you know of any creatures that can use to do unblockable, no problem, or any black creatures that can do like Archon of Cruelty can, comment down below. So yeah, thank you all for joining me and checking out my my Satoru Umezawa deck. I will see you all next time with the next commander deck. And with that said, I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.